Welcome back to Fusion YGO. It is your boy Christian the Haver Cardman here, back at you with the next episode of Orcust Month. And today we are revisiting an old friend of mine. That's right, we are back with Chop Shop. If you're unfamiliar, this is a hodgepodge of Scrap, Machina, Phantom Knights, and Orcust. It is just a huge cluster pile that fills pretty much just about every need you can imagine, and it's a monstrosity. So let's go ahead and get into it today. So I'll just give you guys kind of a quick rundown of the ratios of the deck, and then we'll go over some of the rough theory with this. This is something that I've theory crafted for a while, and it always varies and changes. I need to mess around with some of the newer cards of the format, such as stuff like Assault Synchron and things like that, kind of mess around with some certain text and things that you can run in here. But ultimately, a majority of this is kind of up to your interpretation. It's just getting the basic function of the engines down is the important part, so adjust ratios and other engine or tech options to your needs. So starting off with the Scrap package, the most important part of the deck is going to be 3 Scrap Recycler, 3 Scrap Raptor, and 3 Scrap Golem, just being all key monsters that you want to see. Scrap Golem you don't even mind so much seeing in your hand, but the biggest part is you want to guarantee it's in your deck. If you get a bonus copy in your hand, you can combo off even further with it. We also have 3 Scrapyard and 3 Fossil Dig to help us search for more copies of our Scrap Raptor to get us to our Scrap Recycler, because this is the main combo piece that we need. We don't just need it as a starter, it's also an extender as well, and just formulates the basic part of our combo. If you guys have seen my Scrap profiles before, you understand. Also 2 Scrap Factory to help you fish out extra golems from the deck, because it's just a strong card, but 2 is usually plenty fine. To kind of finish off the Scrap package a little bit is some one-ups that you need to get the engine rolling. You have Crystron, Rosenex, and Jet Synchron as 2 alternate options. Jet Synchron comes in clutch if you end up drawing the Rosenex, and vice versa. Jet Synchron also just helps you get a lot of bricks out of your hand that you really want in your graveyard, because this is a very graveyard-focused deck, as you'll find out very quickly here. We also have 1 Codebreaker Zero Day. This is, I just didn't have anywhere else to put this. This guy goes into the whole Codebreaker package. Integral piece for that, and we'll kind of go over that later. For the Orcust part of the deck, the second most important part of this deck, we have 2 Kirsu, the Orcust Mech Knight. As I've stated in my Scrap Orcust video, he is also a starter on his own. He just doesn't do as much as Scrap Recycler, so he's kind of a secondary option. You don't mind being able to open him up in your hand to get him in your graveyard to set up with stuff like your Orcust Symbol Skeleton. 2 World Legacy World Wand, 1 Orcust Nightmare, 1 Orcust Symbol Skeleton, 1 Babel, and 1 Crescendo for your Orcust lineup. It's not super huge, but it does a lot for the deck. And now for the Machina package here, the third biggest part of the deck. This honestly probably comprises the second most amount of cards in the deck, but doesn't do quite as much. We have 2 Machina Fortress, 1 Machina Radiator, 1 Machina Megaform, 1 Metal Cruncher, 1 Citadel, and 1 Ruin Force, followed by 3 Machina Redeployment. We'll get into why this is all here later. Now onto the Phantom Knights package, we have 1 the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak, 1 the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, and 2 copies of Phantom Knights Fogblade. Pretty small Phantom Knights package, for the main deck at least. There's 1 more card. Next up here to kind of finish off our Earth Machine type stuff, this is kind of a general card. 3 copies of Urgent Schedule, yes, this is a going second deck. 3 copies of Jizukuru, the Star Destroying Kaiju, yes, this is a going second deck. And 3 copies of Heavy Freight Train Derricrane to round off the monsters for the deck here. Derricrane, fantastic extender. For the extra stuff like board breakers and extenders and whatnot, we have 3 copies of Dark World and No More on the main, just in case. You never know when it's going to come up. Of course, the side is all up to your guys' interpretation as well, to your environment, what you're expecting to see. Side how you want to side. I'm not going to go too far into that. 3 Triple Tactics talent. This deck needs to play through hand traps as much as possible, and that's what it aims to do. 1 World Legacy Succession, searchable in the combo. 1 Monster Reborn, great extender for this deck. 1 Foolish Burial, great extender for this deck. And that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck here, we have 1 copy of Link Spider. Once again, we'll get into that later. 2 copies of Scrap Wyvern, 1 Galatea the Orcust Automaton, 1 Live the World Key Blade Master, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Codebreaker Virus Swordsman, 1 Codebreaker Virus Berserker to finish that package, 1 Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche to finish off that package, 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Apollosa Bow the Goddess, 1 Nightmare Griffin, 1 Saryuja Skulldread, 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, and finally a Dingirsu, the Orcust of the Evening Star. So that concludes the actual deck portion of this. If you guys want to test this and kind of figure it out for yourself, figure out how all the pieces work together, be my guest. I just wanted to get that out as quickly as I could for you guys. Now, for the basic theory of this deck, You start your combos off with your scrap package. This is going to get your things online. As you'll notice, pretty much all of the monsters, for the most part, in this deck are machine monsters. And of course, that synergizes perfectly with our favorite graveyard machine deck in Orcust. Everything they want to do is in the graveyard and the banish pile, and just makes everything super easy for you to set up. So like I said, you start the combo with the Scrap Recyclers, then eventually you want to get to the Orcust combo, just similar to Scrap Orcust. So if your Scrap combo gets interrupted and you're not able to bridge into your Orcust stuff, the Machina stuff will get you there a lot easier. You're able to get through a lot of stuff, and of course, for consistency reasons, since we are playing a 60-card deck, the 3 Machina redeployment is actually a 1.5 card combo that gets you into everything involving scraps. So you can use Machina redeployment to discard a card, and then search for Machina Radiator and Machina Megaform. This will allow you to use a Radiator's effect, send the Megaform to graveyard, summon the Radiator target itself to pop itself, summon back the Megaform tribute itself to be able to summon out your Metal Cruncher from the deck. If you don't already have a Scrap Recycler in hand, you can use him to reveal 3 Scrap Recyclers from your deck and add one to your hand. If you already have one and you also open the redeployment combo, then you can instead search for a Heavy Freight Train Daracrane as a free extender, because when you normal summon your Scrap Recycler, you can activate his effect and chain block with Daracrane, preventing you from getting Ash Blossom. Like I said, everything this deck does has different ways to play around hand traps, so you're playing many different ways to get into your combo, so that if your opponent ashes one of them, you just say, okay, well, I'm just going to do this now, and you can just extend freely and not really have to worry too much about it. The triple tactic is actually in the event if you get nibbed before you use your Lib the World Key Blade Master to get your World Legacy Succession. You use your triple tactics to take your opponent's Nibiru, use it in the token to make your Lib, and then keep comboing off. So these 2 cards right here, Monster Reborn and World Legacy Succession, what they do in this deck is they're more than just reviving a single monster. 9 out of 10 times they are reviving your Scrap Golem, which can then also revive your Scrap Recycler, and send you another machine to the graveyard. So you're getting 2 revives out of 1 card, and also sending a machine to the graveyard to extend further. The 2-World Wand is because they're high-level machines. If you have one in hand and you send another one to the graveyard, you get a special summon one of them from the hand. So it works out pretty good, and it's a level 8 monster that you can discard off of Machina Fortress. It's a level 8 monster you can banish off of Ruin Force. There's a lot of different reasons for this guy. The other Orcust monsters, they're either too low a level, or we just don't want to see them in our hand. They're better off in the deck or graveyard, so we just don't really want to see them there. 1 Babel, 1 Crescendo. The Orcust package really is setting up your disruption for your opponent if you have to go first, or if you can only break their board and then just have to establish your own, you're not able to get the kill. Because this deck is very exceptional at getting the kill. There are some situations where you're under urgent schedule and you're using your extra deck monsters that don't always happen to be machines. So that does kind of make it a little bit rough there to OTK sometimes if you don't have exactly the right setup, or if you're under Dark Ruler. Sometimes you just have to break the board and then establish your own when your opponent has resources. The Orcust engine gives you that resource recursion, grindability, and disruption to help with the deck. If you're forced to go first, you can easily set up stuff like your Apollos Abode of the Goddess, a Nightmare Griffin, which is hard for quite a few decks to play through, and of course, your Orcust stuff getting a Crescendo online, or you can even use a Babel to be able to revive it in Girsu on your opponent's turn to get another disruption out of that. This deck is very good at breaking board. It just demolishes boards, eats right through them like they're junk, and then can establish its own very well. It does struggle a little bit going first because, once again, it's a going second deck. Stuff like your Scrap Wyvern makes it a little hard to go second. Stuff like your Urgent Schedule makes it a little hard to go second, so your opponent needs to control a monster or control more monsters than you. So that's a little bit difficult there. There's a few times where it does come up that it's hard for this deck to go first, but it can also do it at the same time, which is really interesting. Another neat little interaction I like is Urgent Schedule when you're going first is not a dead card as long as you have combo otherwise. Because this acts as an extender, when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add a level 10 machine monster from your deck to your hand, which is either your Jizukiru, your Heavy Freight Train Daracrane, your Ruin Force, or your Citadel. You have options for that. It's really nice. So I don't think there's like too much else. Oh yeah, for the Phantom Knights package, this is actually really easy. Once you get going through your main combo, you'll usually get to the Codebreaker combo, and you'll have your Virus Swordsman and your 0 Day left on field. So you can easily make those into a Bardiche, which allows you to send your Ancient Cloak, set a Fog Blade, banish it to add your Silent Boots, summon the Silent Boots, link it off for something like an IP, and then banish it to add your second Fog Blade, so you're getting extra 2 disruptions off of that as well. And then if you do the Dingirsu combo with Bardiche, that's a pop and a send. It's free. Everything about this deck just is all about advantage. You can choose to cut down on some of this non-engine stuff and try to go for more hand trap type builds. I personally just don't like it as much. I just want to break your board and get the game over as quickly as possible. If I go first, I might struggle a little bit, but that's what the side deck is for. So anyways, lads, that's what I got for you today on this deck profile for Chop Shop. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below. Of course, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for all of Orcust Month. We got probably a few videos left here. I know I at least got a combo tutorial coming for this by the end of the week for you guys, so be sure to stay tuned in for that, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. As always, good fun. Have luck.